Hi everybody, Monty, geometry. We just finished another week of school. Wow, we got 4 done and a whole bunch more to go. But we wanted to have some fun with pumpkins. So let's get started on the pumpkin problem, okay? So we did some measurements on the pumpkin problem. It turns out together they weigh 19 pounds. The big pumpkin is 14 pounds, okay? So let's see some math behind it. Lots of people turned in predictions and guesses and mathematical equations. I want to show you why I really like this problem. All of you studied proportions, okay? If we know the weight of the small one, 5 pounds, if we could figure out the size of the small, a relationship, then the big pumpkin weight to the size of the big pumpkin. So we did some measurements, right? And we talked about how small, how tall, how wide, how far around. From the teacher perspective, I'm going to analyze it from the volume side, okay? Well, here's the hard part. It's real world math. These are not perfectly round. Okay? Remember the small pumpkin, 6 tall, 8 wide? The big pumpkin, the only measurement I gave you was between 10 and 11 because it wasn't perfectly round. Remember, it was 10 on this side and 11 on this side. Okay? And I tried to get 2 pumpkins that were similar, so it was more squatty than tall. Okay. So, from a teacher perspective, I'm going to use volume. Okay? Well, what is volume? It turns out there's a formula for volume, and it's based on the radius. Well, we're going to have to come up with an R value, right? So, in the small pumpkin, 6 tall, 8 wide, I should probably use 7, and half of 7 is 3.5. I chose 4. Big pumpkin, 10 or 11, maybe a 12, we didn't measure. I chose 5.5. Okay, let's do some math. The volume says, the formula, 4 divided by 3 times this thing called pi times r cubed. Now, if you don't know pi, that's okay. It's a button on a lot of calculators. But actually, pi represents the distance around divided by the diameter, 3.1415. Feel free to just use 3.14 if you're just using a calculator without a pi button. Let's do some math. Now remember, I told you starting this week, we got to have a calculator, okay? So turn our calculator on, and I want to show you that pi is an actual button on some of these calculators, okay? So on this one, you have to go second, and the pi button is right here on the caret key. So second pi. So 4 times 4 times 4 times pi times 4, okay, times 4, all divided by 3, okay, all divided by 3. Okay, and we get this number, 268.08, round to 1. We'll do the same thing for the volume of the big pumpkin, okay, and 5.5, if we do that math, we get 696.9. Okay, now, remember, in this class, it's all about what do you remember, what do you know, and what can you ask. Okay, so we asked questions, but you know proportions. So now we have 5 pounds is to a certain size. The big pumpkin, we don't know this. We're trying to figure it out. But we have a volume based on inches cubed. Okay, remember how you did proportions in middle school? Just cross multiply, right? This goes to this as this goes to this. Let's do that math. 5 times the 696.9 divided by the 268. And we're going to get the weight, according to Monty, too little, huh? So I probably made a mistake on this number right here. I think I probably should have used smaller than 4, but that's okay. I'm happy with 12.99, 14, not too bad. I do want to do some shout outs, though, to some folks that did really well. So let's grab our megaphone and do some shout outs to both classes. In period 4, Claire, Gabe, and Colin all were within a couple of pounds. And in period 5, Jonathan, Matthew, and Jack all within a couple of pounds. So, hopefully you had a great time with the pumpkin problem. Not every week are we going to have these challenge problems, but I remember telling you, geometry is the study of the real world and trying to make sense of it mathematically. See you on Tuesday.